Later this month, you will learn more about the long-term vision for Sony Group and the essential role SIE plays in that vision. What's that mean? Today we're going to be talking about the future of PlayStation. Is it bright? Is it dark? Is it scary? All three. I would say all three, to be honest with you. Look, PlayStation, they're making big moves, man. We have two new CEOs. We have Hideaki Nishino, a part of platforms and consoles, and then we have Herman Holst, our boy from Guerrilla Games. He's in charge of PlayStation Studios and communications between film studios and you know, other studios. You know, he's in charge of the IP of PlayStation, basically. Big moves, right? And apparently we're going to find out more later this month. There's going to be some PlayStation business meeting, and there's going to be details of that meeting that I'm assuming are going to be made public. When they say later this month, you will learn more about the long-term vision of Sony Group. Kind of tells me that there's going to be some kind of big public info dump or something. Or a PlayStation Showcase. Maybe they're just talking about, hey, get ready, that PlayStation Showcase thing is happening. We are going to see it. And there's going to be some games there that kind of show you what our vision of the future looks like. And I'll be honest, I'm in this state right now where, like, I'm ready to see... I know we're not getting Naughty Dog's next game this year. Like, I know that's not happening. We're not going to see Santa Monica's next game. It's probably not going to happen. But I want to see them. You know, I'm ready to see them. I want to see what these guys are working on. It's been so long since we've seen a new Naughty Dog game. It's been almost a decade since we've seen a new IP from Naughty Dog. So I am excited for that prospect. I obviously love video games. I'm always there to see some new ones, even if they're years out. I love that stuff. You know, I love hyping that stuff up. And I do think that does push consoles as well. I think it's smart to show owners of the PlayStation or people that don't own a PlayStation 5 that, hey, here's some games that are coming. Maybe it's time to invest. Do these games look good enough for you to invest? I definitely have some concerns, though, if I'm being totally real with you. Look, Helldivers 2 was a massive success. It still is a massive success. I finally got around to playing it, and it is a very good video game. It deserves that success. However, PlayStation's been kind of mucking around with it. You know, and there's more multiplayer games coming. I guess my big concern is that the multiplayer initiative that Jim Ryan kickstarted. I don't know if he's responsible or was responsible for that decision to make a bunch of live service games, but those games, I believe, are still coming. Fire Access's Concord is coming out this year. They confirmed that during these meetings that happened. And I don't know. I think they're kind of potentially cannibalizing their own market. They have such a good thing with Helldivers 2. Why not just build on the success of that? Keep making Helldivers 2 special. Keep adding stuff to that game. Make that game your big live service game. Obviously people are resonating with it. Obviously people like it. So why not? Why not, like, work on that a little bit more, build up hype for, you know, a potential sequel. Helldivers 3 is probably going to be huge. Now, you have a franchise. You have a huge multiplayer franchise, and a lot of studios right now at this point would kill for that. Would cancel a ton of other titles and shut down a ton of other studios to get that hot multiplayer IP. And PlayStation has it, and they're making more multiplayer games. There's a Bungie one coming out. There's the Fire Access one coming out. There's Fairgrounds, Fair Game, the one where you're robbing the rich, or the big CG trailer they showed last year. Like, what even is that? I don't really know. Lately, it kind of feels like they're just throwing a bunch of ideas for live service games at the wall and hoping one sticks, and Helldivers did stick. It stuck. It's working. So maybe just focus on the success of that IP. I don't know. Maybe I'm not looking at it the way that they are. Clearly, I'm not. But I just really don't think that a singular company putting out a bunch of games that appeal to the same audience is a good idea. Look, Epic Games, they shut down Paragon when Fortnite started taking off. And I know shutting down games is not fun, but that game was not making its mark. People weren't playing it. And they had to make a decision. We're going to put all of our eggs in the basket with this singular IP of Fortnite. And I don't know. You're not going to make a Fortnite, right? PlayStation is not going to make their Fortnite. That's just not going to happen. I've talked about this before in the past. Fortnite is lightning in a bottle. I don't think that's something that is easily achievable. I think that Fortnite, for whatever reason, just really clicked with audiences, and it just worked. And, you know, I'm not comparing Helldivers 2 to Fortnite. Very different games, very different vibes, but I do think that Helldivers 2 is clicking with an audience, and it is working. Maybe not to the high degrees of Fortnite. That, again, unachievable, in my opinion, because it's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. At least not yet. I have no idea. I just don't think it's possible. But they have something there, you know? And that's the other thing. Sony is kind of known to do this. You know, they make a few premier single-player games, and then that's just kind of their bread and butter now. They just the third-person, super good-looking, story-driven, linear but bloated single-player game. And they've made a few of those now. And it kind of just feels like whenever something kind of just works, they kind of just stick with it and they keep doing it until it's no longer fun. And I don't want that to happen with their other ideas, like their multiplayer stuff. I think one of the main things I want to see out of whatever information we're given later this month, it is happening later this month, is diversity. I just really want to see more diversity in their projects. I mean, let's get real. The people that are playing Horizon, are playing God of War, are playing Spider-Man, are playing Ghost of Tsushima. You know, these games kind of all appeal to the same crowd, and I really do think that we need something fresh. God damn it, we need Hi-Fi Rush on PlayStation. I mean, it is on PlayStation, but we need a PlayStation Hi-Fi Rush. You know, we need a game that says, hey, not every game has to be the same. We can do weird stuff and just make a really cool, weird-looking game. And, you know, obviously, I don't think that's going to happen. I get so frustrated. You know, we already talked about that. I'm not going to bring all that mess here, but I really do think that, like, IP like that, games like that, are kind of the future. I think that you need to tell players that there's a lot of stuff that you can do on your PlayStation. And I think that's why PC has succeeded, is because there's a lot of things that you can do on your PC. And I don't know. I hope that I just see more projects that have more interesting gameplay mechanics, have more interesting ideas, more interesting art direction and art style and graphics. And I want to be wowed in that front. You know, I want to see Naughty Dog's game and not just feel like it's another Last of Us or another Uncharted, but feel like it's something brand new and special. I really do think that PlayStation's output has been kind of stale. I'm not trying to make like some hot take here. I do think that there is a large majority that would also agree with me that, like, it's time for something fresh. It's time for something new. I do also hope that their future output consists of smaller titles. You know, let Sony Santa Monica make a smaller game. Because these half a decade dev cycles are getting out of hand. Sony knows this. We know this. It's getting ridiculous. These games are too big. God of War Ragnarok is too big. There is no reason for that many side quests in that game. There is no reason for that game to be that long. They're just filled to the absolute brim of just content, and I just, that's not how I want my games to be made. I want more concise, more breathable ideas. I want smaller projects, and I want smaller projects from the teams that we know and love. You know, I'm not saying, oh, let's go buy a bunch of indie studios and have them make, you know, indie games for us. I'm not saying that. I'm saying you need to fully reconstructure how we make games. And I don't know if we're going that far. Like, I don't know if Sony's willing to make that kind of change, because that's a more industry-wide thing. But Sony does lead the industry in a lot of ways, especially when it comes to big cinematic single-player games. A lot of other studios follow suit with Sony in terms of like how their games are presented, how their games look. You know, Sony is sort of the benchmark for that kind of stuff. I hope. I really do. I hope that smaller projects are also a part of the future of PlayStation. I'm tired of the trend chasing. I'm tired of the constant push to make a live service game. Just hearing that from so many studios, so many publishers, it's gotten to this point now where I'm just legitimately sick of it. Like I have no desire to play any of those games because I feel overwhelmed, and I don't know. I'm tired of that, and I'm ready to see kind of a new face of PlayStation. I think that PlayStation kind of needs a little bit of a brand reset, just a little revitalization. You know, I remember when the PS3 first launched and it was a failure, right? And their marketing was awful. But then they kind of changed the narrative a little bit and made the PS3 a success, a huge success. They put out Uncharted 3. They started just putting out good games, period. And they changed the design of the console, and they changed no more edgelord stuff, right? They changed the marketing and just the overall general perception of what the brand of PlayStation is. And I also hope for that. I think that the PS5 is due for kind of a refresh. They've been talking about like, oh, we're at the halfway point of this life cycle. Like, it's time to hit the ground running. You know, it's time to find out whether or not this console is going to be a success. These are the most important years of this console, and I do think that kind of resetting that narrative could be a good idea. We have new leadership, right? We have a lot of new games coming out. Maybe it's time to kind of reshape just the overall brand. There is a PS5 Pro coming out. Maybe they do it with that. I don't know how they're going to put out new hardware right now with how the sales of the PS5 are going. That last quarter for the PS5 fiscal year, quarter 4 or whatever, blah, 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 was like not super great. And console sales in general are really down, and Nintendo has new hardware, Xbox has new hardware, and PlayStation has new hardware coming soon. And I'm very curious how the general public perceives that. I wonder if that's something that people are actually going to buy. I really don't know. But I'm just talking about like the actual brand, how we talk to the audience, how our trailers are structured, all the blue, you know, all the shapes, all the weird interstitials. I mean, I am really, really glad we're not going to have Jim Ryan, you know, 16:9 camera angles talking about the future of PlayStation is going to be, you know, I'm tired of that. I'm glad we're not getting that anymore. But, I mean, to be fair, we could very well be getting more of that. You know, that's another big concern, is that nothing really changes and we're kind of just continuing to do the same thing. And that worries me. You know, I'm ready to get excited about PlayStation again. I'm ready to put on my PlayStation shirt and feel proud, you know? One big thing that I think we can count on for the future of PlayStation is multi-platform, man. PC, day and date for first-party titles. I think that Helldivers 2, again, a huge success. And obviously, I know that a company should not base all of its future decisions on a singular success story, but you know how these companies work. I do think that the PC aspect of Helldivers is the most important one. That's why that game is succeeding. I think like 90% of its players are playing on Steam. And I think that's kind of why PlayStation has been implementing changes to that, and they're trying to get cash in a little bit more on that player base with some heinous acts, some heinous decisions. But again, for another conversation, I think that multi-platform is probably the future of most companies at this point. Square Enix just recently had like a big earnings meeting, and it was not good. It was not a good one. That whole company has been going through massive, reconstructuring. There's been layoffs. They're shutting down studios. They're moving people all over the place. And they straight up said that like our future games will be multi-platform. I fully believe that Remake Part 3 is going to be on PC day and date. Final Fantasy 17 will probably be on the Switch too. It'll probably happen. And I do think that that is important for their future. I think that you need to get these games in the hands of the most people possible. And I think that exclusivity helps PlayStation more than it does Square Enix. I definitely, I know that they're paying for that exclusivity for sure, but certainly not as much as, the positive word of mouth that would spread across a multitude of platforms. And I think that PlayStation and Xbox are starting to see that like, oh, people just want options. People want to be able to play this game on their Steam Deck, on their Switch, or, you know, at home or at work or at school. You know, people want options, and I do think that that is going to be a huge part of PlayStation's future. I'm really curious, like Concord coming out this year, that's also coming to PC as well, right? No, man. I really don't. Have they confirmed that? I actually don't know. All I know is a lot is riding on whatever we learn later this month. Whatever this vision for the long-term future of Sony is, it's going to be important. At least to me. You know, I know no one actually really cares about this stuff, but it is important. And I think it's going to be extremely telling on where PlayStation goes from here. Because PlayStation's kind of in a weird spot. Like, they're really succeeding and they're doing really well, but certainly not as well as they can be, certainly not as well as they should be. Again, last quarter was not good for them at all. Big, you know, drops in numbers. I think 29% down year over year, and that's not good. Less people are buying your console year after year, and that's not the direction you want to be going in. So I do think that, like, it is time for some things to change. And I'm just curious what it's all going to be about. I'm sure by the time I end up uploading this video, there will be an announcement for a PlayStation Showcase or whatever. Who knows? We're going to find out soon, and I will talk about whatever info is given to us at that point. But definitely comment down below and give me your thoughts, your sort of take on PlayStation right now. What does PlayStation have to do for you to get excited? To want to buy a PS5 if you have not bought a PlayStation 5 yet? What would get you to do that? What would make you just have to buy one? You know, is it just the next Naughty Dog game? Is it the next God of War or Spider-Man 3 or the Venom game or whatever? Like, is it just games, or is there something else that's kind of missing from that platform that is needed? Comment below, give me your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching. Look, I'm doing YouTube again, man. I'm having fun making videos. I'm just talking in front of the camera, and expect more videos soon. I'm gonna keep it rolling. I'm gonna keep it going. I'm having fun, and I hope you are too. And I do greatly appreciate you being here and watching this video. It does mean a lot to me. Definitely check out the links down below in the description. I'm streaming on Twitch pretty much 3 times a week, and we're playing all kinds of crazy games there. We're obviously going to be streaming whatever PlayStation Showcase thing that happens, and Summer Game Fest, and that's future videos, future things, future projects. It's all happening. So yeah, thank you so much for being here, and until next time, party on.